me, baby, 'cause everything will be alright. Ooh, everything will be alright if you just hold my hand. We'll go very far and we'll return to mainland when you're ready, but only when you're ready. We can stay here forever, you know. Return to mainland when you're ready, but only when you're ready. We can stay here forever, you know.
Powder Toast Man!
Hold on tight, no need to be afraid. We will soar up high into the sky. Open up your eyes and you will see. This is how real love was meant to be. Yeah. And I don't plan to fail again, wearing my heart on my sleeve.
Life is like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're gonna get next. Life is kinda like a chocolate box. Just go ahead and open it, see what you are gonna get. Life is like a box of chocolates. Never know what you're gonna get next. Life is kinda like a chocolate box. Just go ahead and open it, see what you are gonna get.
How's it going, everybody? And welcome to the Hoary Sheet Show for the 6th episode of the Flat Curious Readouts. And I have a Flat Curious video reaction as well as 2 or 3 text readouts where I had people write 500 words of feedback, or they first took 10 different notes on the 2-hour-long video that I made them watch. And I switched this one up. I have somebody watching, I think, Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. I have somebody else watching Dubé's 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. And then I have somebody watching, I think it was ODD's video, 21 Questions, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth. So anyway, I have it all documented. We're going to get to that. And after that, we're going to talk, we're going to show you guys my favorite troll that I've got so far. And I took some screenshots literally like right before the show of this other guy that was trolling me on my Facebook. I think he's still spamming my Facebook, or he thinks he is. Anyway, his Facebook has like realized that his comments are spam, so it's auto spamming them. So I think he's still going through all my top like posts and like trying to put his little concave Earth video in there. Which I'm all for it. I would share. I think I shared or talked about the concave Earth scientists. If not, I'll mention it on tonight's show. You know, I gotta probably add that towards the end. But anyway, I mean, I got some trolls. I'm gonna show you that. We're gonna talk a little bit, just very briefly, about the jets and the jet fuel hoax and possible hoax. I'm not buying into it yet. I'm not even gonna look too deep into that. I'm kind of trusting some of these bigger channels that I really put a lot of faith into to dig into this one, because it seems to be pretty interesting. I've looked into it enough. But anyway, I'm also just going to mention a few things that I've seen in some games. And I want to talk about how games are shaping our minds in 2018 and probably have been for several years. But some interesting games are coming out. So let's get right to it. First of all, the chat room has been popping. Hi to everybody in the chat. I see Bob from Globebusters made it in. Adam Geringer's made it in there. How you doing? Think for yourselves. Ace McLeod. Candy's in there. How you doing? I Spy Nasty Lies. Yeah, Yep. Sorry if I missed anybody. Billy Sanchez, what's going on, buddy? Flat Earth Unity, what it do? Oh yeah, YouTube also has a a live chat readout thing on the side. So while you're watching the video, you can see what everybody's typing in the chat. That's been pretty fun, and it's kind of making me want to chat along with it when I'm watching like Mark and Patricia's show. I was watching before I started, and I saw the chat going by and what everybody was talking about. And I just wanted to keep typing and telling everybody hi, but I couldn't. It's kind of a weird experience, right? But anyway, the first one we're gonna do is a readout. So let me look at my notes. I have I don't know how to even pronounce this. Dwaithaka66 on Fiverr. That's DWAITHAK66. If anybody wants to actually look it up, got this person on Fiverr to watch Eric DeBay's 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. So let's see what he had to say about it. And let me make sure my audio levels are okay. And yeah, they look to be all right. If I'm coming in too low, you guys let me know. First one up, he says, number one, the possibility of rotation, rotating for around 360 degrees while still seeing the flat horizon of the Earth. So now this is English probably isn't the first language, so let's see. That's exactly what he said. He found it interesting, I guess, that the possibility of rotating for around 360 degrees while still seeing the flat horizon of the Earth. So yeah, I guess I can see what he's talking about. You can see it flat in 360 degree camera videos. There's a really good one that I've shared on my Facebook from time to time. It's some kind of balloon situated with one of those 360 cameras, and all the way at ground level, you can see everything's flat. It goes all the way up, and it's still a completely flat horizon, 360 around. So interesting thing. Number two, he says the flow of rivers downhill to meet oceans and other water bodies would be the opposite if and rivers would fly high to the hills. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm not going to translate them. I'm just going to read them exactly how they are and move on if it sounds too confusing, just to save time. Number three, he found it interesting the laying of different structures at the surface of the Earth does not require expert in surveying. It is done in a horizontal line and does not show any folding or curvature. Yeah, land surveyors have said many times that they're not accounting for the curvature of Earth in their big construction site things. They're just not doing that. It's not a thing. So that should really tell you something. Number four, almost all the platforms are on the same relative level according to construction experts. Okay. So that must have been something there in the 200 proofs. There's a lot of little things. I mean, Eric DeBay in that video just goes boom, boom, boom through all these proofs. So I'm more familiar with flat Earth clues, so some of these are kind of foreign to me. But number five, he says the changes in relative positions of the stars during the revolution of Earth could be seen. Okay. Okay. Number six, he says, if the Earth was spinning, then planes and choppers would hover around the atmosphere and wait for their destinations, instead of heading to these places in a horizontal move. That one you can't unsee, right? You can't unsee that. Number seven, the landing of Felix some distance off of the takeoff place was not enough proof about the Earth spinning, as he was expected to land somewhere within the ocean. There you go. Number eight, oh goodness, what is this? Botolph's Parish Church in Boston is 200 feet tall and can still be seen 40 miles away. If a curvature was drawn, it could have been lost in the 800 feet height. Oh, okay, so he's getting a taste of stuff that we shouldn't be seeing that far away. Let me just blow it up. I'm trying so hard to read the screen. I could just make it bigger. Number nine, he says, looking at a ray of light from a distance while at the same time approaching it proves that it moves only becomes clearer and not sunk in some curvature. Okay, so let's see if I can translate that. Looking at a ray of light from a distance while at the same time approaching it proves that it moves, becomes clearer and sunk in some. Okay. Let's hope the next part's more legible than these damn notes. Number 10, his last note here is no existing proof of spinning of different items making up the solar system. Yeah, I'm not believing that these planets are really making rotations. I think that maybe they're being lit up, and if there's a waxing and waning of Jupiter or whatever, then like our moon does when it's coming in and out of view, maybe the planets are doing the same. When they try to show us Jupiter spinning, I'm not buying it because they're using the same animation that they used from like Final Fantasy or like 10 years ago. They're using the same animation. It's terrible. So anyway, here's what he said. First of all, what do you guys think about those notes? I mean, I don't even know. Half of that was just kind of what. So let's hope the rest is okay. Authentic Intents here. How you doing, man? Great stuff. I was going to mention you later on in the show and talk about what you were doing there at the state capitol. I didn't watch it yet, but I skimmed through it, caught the end. I saw some people taking pictures with you and passing out your cards for you. That was great. I bet you got a big sigh of relief there when somebody just came and took your stack and was just giving them out, because then you wouldn't get in any sort of trouble. That's epic. Big win. So you guys go give Authentic Intent a sub. He's back in action doing his live streams, flat smacking people on the street. All right, so let's move on. Let's see what they said in their feedback. This is 500 words of feedback on just what they thought of the video. He said, the scientific explanations about the shape of the Earth and its movement have always convinced most people. This, however, comes with a different angle of twist to convince the reader and viewers otherwise. The level of research into the different aspects to describe the shape of the Earth is overwhelmingly surprising. A careful consideration of these items shows a lot of holes in scientific research and little agreement about the shape and movement of the Earth. One would easily question the original research by NASA and other scientists of how they came to these conclusions. That's a pretty good starting paragraph. It sounds like it made him really... Well, it sounds kind of like a professional review, so I hope I'm getting more of his genuine feedback, but we'll see. Going into paragraph 2, he says, I think this information convinces me. I think this information convinces me, and it would be important to research on the actual shape of the Earth. One example is the impossibility of pilots to move upwards for some time, then land back at the same point. Impossibility of pilots to move upwards for some time, then land back to the same point. Well, I guess, from the shape of the Earth spinning below them. As proof, I tried to throw a stone up, but was amazed it landed on the same point. If, indeed, the Earth was spinning at high speed suggested by scientists, then the stone would possibly land at a different point, and maybe farther than where I was standing. So did this guy actually throw up a stone? Like, did he get in the yard and do this? I might have to ask him. Have scientists ever thought of this? ? That's what he says. Maybe they have, and it's not clear what they say about these theories. His last paragraph, or second to last paragraph, says, investigating into these different theories and coming up with a general agreement about the reaction of scientists is still not mentioned in the video. What would this mean? Simply, scientists seem to not accept these theories. For one reason or another, they are misleading or require a lot of research. The major intention is to prove to all humanity that the Earth moves at that speed, and the shape is actually curved. If this would be done, then a lot would be explained about the shape of the Earth and other celestial bodies. He goes on to say, amongst the astronomers, none has come out with a different theory to prove the shape of the Earth and its movement. Most people build on the existing information. If there were proper controversies into the shape of the Earth, then more people would have suggested research and studies into the same. There's a lot. I don't know if he's aware of it. There's a whole lot of people, making videos about it. Additionally, the behavior of organizations towards this, like NASA, does not suggest any interest in this research. NASA throws in billions of funds into scientific research. This, however, does not attract them, proving further that it is either baseless or would not go any far as convincing the people. I don't know what he means there. Is he saying that, this can't be true because NASA is not buying into it? It was looking kind of good. If one was to support these reasons by allowing serious research and studies, it would be interesting how people would react to the information. Well, there's been a whole lot of serious research and studies. Yeah, maybe this guy's talking about CNN, Fox News, MSN. That's where he's getting his serious study info from, I'm sure. If the results could prove that the Earth is not curved, as science suggests, and that it is not spinning at high speeds, then more would change. You're damn right. One of them is changing the entire geographical theories about science and convincing people through new formulae. These will force a change in several aspects of geography and physics, including complex equations of Kepler. More people will be surprised on the new information, he says. Scientists will have to revisit their classes and alter a lot of formulae that relied on the shape and speed of the Earth. Well, bingo. Hope he looks into it, right? Because you can't unsee the 200 proofs in Eric DeBay's video. I know that. And it was kind of looking like he was gonna. It looked like he was saying, "Oh man, what about this?" And yeah. Then he started talking about how, oh, this can't be true because NASA and scientists. He saw that, oh, it's just too big. It's big to cover up. And we've heard that before, right? It's terrible. I'm usually when they give me like some sort of facts or something that they disagree on, I'll go back and send them a message about it and kind of offer a sort of a rebuttal on it. But I don't really have anything to go on there. So we'll move on to the next one. I'm going to address the chat real quick, see what you guys said about that. Authentic put his link there in the chat room, so you guys check it out. Field trip. Oh, that was a field trip. Oh, I was wondering how so many people came into that place so fast on you. Cool. I don't think Jesus wore rings. That's authentic intent. Mars says the scientific rulers will provide one kind of education for ordinary men and women, and another for those who are to become holders of scientific power. Yep, pretty much. Right, the next one comes by way of Opanono, and he watched the Flat Earth 2018 nature documentary. I think this was ODD's newest video. I was going to give it a shot, so let's see what his note said here. He wrote down interesting things in the documentary. That's how it starts off. So hold on to your seats here for Mr. Opanono's notes. We can hope for the best. Number 1 says, all parts of the ship disappear gradually, starting from the bottom part to the top part, as the ship sails away from the shore, implying that the Earth is curved. Implying. Yes, that's his first note. Note number 2 says the ship disappears from sight because human beings have a limited vision, and not because the Earth is curved. Furthermore, when the telescopes are used, the ship is clearly seen. Oh, can't unsee that one. Number 3, the Earth is wide at the equator and narrow towards the top, meaning it has a pear shape. So he heard what Neil deGrasse Tyson said about it. Number 4, he said NASA is not sure of how the world looks like and have perpetrated the lie that the Earth is round while in reality it's flat. So he's just like taking notes on what the video said here. Number 5, he says the Earth is motionless and is located at the center of the universe. The sun and other stars go around it. So he's, again, taking notes. Number 6, he says the Earth is a closed system and that human beings cannot get out of it. Okay, so he got that in his head. That was, I guess he, came across the info about a dome possibility. Number 7, the moon does not reflect sunlight. It produces its own light, whose temperature can be measured. Can't unsee that one. And that's a fun thing to try just with some simple tools. If you haven't heard about this, now I don't know what kind of rock you've been in and why you're here, but yeah, Daryl Marble did a video on this recently. And if anybody has a link to that, put it in the chat. But it was, one of those little laser or infrared temperature things, and he was shining it on different objects. And he did several different things, like a bottle of water, plastic bottles of water, or 2 dumbbells, like different metal, different material. And I mean, it was like a 3-degree difference or more in temperature from the stuff that was getting actual moonlight. It was cooler than the stuff that was in the shaded portion not getting the moonlight. So, you know, people are still doing those tests, and you can do it yourself. Number 8, he says, Antarctica is not a planet since, what? Antarctica is not a planet since nobody can stay there. It can only be visited for scientific reasons under strict guidance. Alrighty then. Number 9. The sun rotates around the earth and only appears to rise and set because of the way visions of human beings work. Yes, he got that one. Number 10. The earth isn't pulled into a sphere because the force known as gravity doesn't exist. Wait. He says the earth isn't pulled into a sphere because the force known as gravity doesn't exist, or at least exists in a greatly diminished form than is commonly taught. Okay. I don't know what I haven't really watched that video, maybe, so I'm gonna go check it out and see what he said in there. Yeah. But it's not strong enough to do that. I guess that's what he's saying in that, right? So, or at least it exists in a greatly diminished form than is commonly taught. Huh, interesting. Okay, so this is his 500 words. I'll take a sip for this. This is gonna be great. And then after this, we're gonna do the video readout. And I didn't even know that the person that I got to do the readout was this young. I think I just had a weird picture to go by, so I couldn't really see what he looked like. But he just was all excited. He just got his new green screen, and he was just all excited to do a video with the green screen. So he's sitting in front of his green screen. We'll look at it in a minute. And I'm thinking of just taking that and green screening it out. I should have did that for the show, really, and putting some funny background because it would have just made it. Might do that when I re-upload it. I plan on taking these video reactions and just making little separate videos and sticking them back out there. You know, raw, uncut style. So here he says, the documentary is just a blessing to this generation. It clearly stirs critical thinking in whoever watches it. There are many things that are taught in school that are never questioned because scientists claim that they have been proved through various experiments that they have carried out in the past. Through a host of conversations in the video, one is presented with quite a number of questions about some of those facts that were researched by NASA and other scientists. It has been said before that the Earth is curved, and the explanation given for this is that when one looks at a ship sailing away from the shore, all the parts of the ship disappear gradually, starting from the bottom part to the top part. This is not true because it is our vision, which is limited, and the ship has to disappear from our sight once it gets far away enough from the shore. However, we are able to see it clearly with the help of a microscope. I'm sure he meant binoculars or a telescope. Moving on. Scientists have also said on many occasions that the Earth rotates around the sun. I strongly agree with the person in the video who says that this is not true and that it is the sun and the other stars that go around the Earth. It is quite clear that when you look at the sky, the sun and the other stars appear to be moving around the Earth. Whoa! I also agree with the many people in the video who are saying that the Earth is flat and not round. Their reasons are just superb, he says. Okay, have we turned this guy into a flat earther? He says, for instance, if the Earth is round and looks like a ball, then the horizon should sink as one ascends and not rise to one's eye level, as is the case. Oh, okay. He says the windows of the NASA spacecraft from where they took the photos are round, and that is the reason why the Earth appears round in their photos. And in many cases, this is me speaking now, in many cases I kind of agree. There's a lot of pictures where NASA will take pictures looking out of a window that's just a wonky looking window. But another story for another time. He goes on to say, one person also suggests that when you look at the universe through a telescope, you realize that the NASA photos are just a farce and that the Earth is flat and has no curvature. The scientists also say that they flew around the Earth and came back to the same point where they started, and therefore the Earth is round. But does it, he says, but does it mean that when you go around a place, then the Earth is round? Question mark. So he's saying, well, they did that, but does that really prove anything? Is what I got from that. In the last bit here, he says, there are people in the video who are saying that the force of gravity does not exist. It exists because everything that goes up normally comes back down at some point. The only bit about it that is not true is that the Earth is round and it is the force of gravity that prevents objects on the ground from falling. Maybe he meant rising? I don't know. Finally, scientists have always said that Antarctica is a continent. But this is not true because there is nobody living in Antarctica. It's just a place covered in ice, and people only go there for scientific reasons under proper guidance. In conclusion, there are many other interesting points expressed in the video that have not been mentioned in this piece of writing that also raise valid questions about the known scientific facts. The video challenges us not to blindly believe in every fact presented by scientists, but to go a notch higher and question some of them that we feel are lies. That was a hit. That was a hit. That was $5. That was $5 to have this guy thinking and, you know, at least introduced to a whole lot of stuff. If he was a flat earther already, he would have been like the other guy that we got in week 1 or 2. He was like, yeah, I'm a flat earther. I can say it now. I couldn't say it when they were going to hang me or whatever. Burn you to the stake for it. So it sounds like this dude at least gave it a good amount of thought. We can't run from that. I don't know what to think about that. What do you think? Did we turn them? He's on board? I think he's on board. I wonder if we made him on board. I'm going to talk to Mr. Openono, and we're going to get the clarification for that for the next show. And, you know, because I had to ask somebody that once. I was like, so you like the video, you know? And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm a flat earther. We're going to get clarification. The next thing we're going to do, let me address the chat. Hey, everybody who has joined. If you're not familiar with what we're doing, it's just $5 for me to get somebody to, you know, give us 500 words of feedback on what they thought of a 2-hour video on Flat Earth. So I'm introducing them to their first hour or two of Flat Earth, and they give me their feedback for $5, and I'm reading them out here on the show to kind of gauge what people's hangups are. And so when I make my own video, I'm gonna address you know, the most popular hangups and try to just further this movement along. But so far, it's been pretty good. What do you guys think about it? Hey, Daniel Riza, how's it going? Google user. Everybody is filling up nicely. Len Mooring is here. How you doing? Flatlander Montgomery. Gravity is attraction between objects. The bigger the object, the stronger the force. This has never been proven, except for magnetic objects. That's true. And, you know, if you look at the Cavendish experiment, this is what they based that gravity theory on for the most part. And it was a guy, was it the 1700s in his big tool shed that did this huge elaborate experiment, you know, and we've tried to create it in various classrooms and different environments, and we can't seem to, you know, get an inconclusive thing here when it comes to, you know, big objects are going to attract other things to it. We can't really prove that, because I mean, what was it? It's like a wire or a cable coming down from the ceiling, and then this bar going across, this huge bar, and then a big ball hanging from that side, a big ball hanging from that side, in some kind of way, or I don't know, some kind of way these balls were supposed to rotate towards each other, and that would prove gravity. I'm not buying that. I mean, just not. And that's what we base so much science on these days. So go look at some of that stuff, and it'll blow your mind. This is how we got in the hole we're in now. Reading the chat. Okay, guys, let's check it out. I'll pull up the next video. Give me 1 second. Okay, here it is. I'm gonna switch it to this screen. Lovely. Move my desk to the side. There you go.
Flat Earth, 21 questions. Okay.
So where is the edge?
Who's to say that there is an edge, and why assume there is one? Is it because when we are introduced to the idea of a flat Earth, it's always depicted like this?
Yeah.
In the currently most accepted model, Antarctica is not a continent, but a 360-degree landmass made up of ice that holds the oceans within. When we look at a Gleason's map from 1892 that states at the top that it's scientifically and practically correct, as is.
Okay.
We see this Antarctic ice rim. The Gleason's map is basically an azimuthal equidistant projection, which can be traced back to the year 1000. The AE map is also an official map of the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, and the official logo for the United Nations. The oldest known globe in the world is from 1492. This is something you need to keep in mind because many people argue that the azimuthal equidistant map is just a flattened out version of the globe, when in fact the globe is just a rounded version of this true world flat map. If the flat map came first and it has the ability to convert into a globe without any problems whatsoever, then that should tell you a little bit about how this globe deception was achieved. Now, back to if there is an edge or not. There is no proof that there is an edge past the Antarctic ice wall, but it is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless. In these two scenarios, it would be logically assumed that more land is being hidden from the general public.
Okay. I don't know if I can agree, but pretty good statement. You can see that they did a lot of research, but I don't know if I can agree with that. But so far, so good. I really like
In
the
a
pictures that they show.
1954 interview with Admiral
beautiful.
Richard E. Byrd, an American naval officer who specialized in exploration, he had this to say.
But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
Implying that there is more land past Antarctica. If that uninhabited land was on a globe, it would be in the Indian Ocean. A recent discovery of an old Buddhist map in a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast plain with much more land.
Where does the sun go if the
Where
earth is
does
flat?
the sun go if the earth is flat?
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west, and only appears to rise and set due to perspective. The sun disappears at the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon where the ground meets the sky, and since the sun is not 93 million miles away, I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller, the light emanating from the sun only illuminates about half of the flat plane at once as it makes its daily journey.
Okay. Also an interesting idea. Yes, it does. But it never does, so sun cruising over a flat earth. Okay. I really like this gift. Yeah.
What's underneath the
What's
flat earth?
underneath the flat earth?
This is obviously an unanswerable question since the assumed edge has never been known to be reached. But many people suppose that whether the Earth is round or flat, that either way, it still must be floating in the middle of outer space. But the idea of outer space goes out the window with the round Earth theory. Many religious texts support an immovable Earth that has its foundations on which it is laid and its pillars by which it is supported. We simply don't know, but we do know that the Earth is obviously fixed in place, as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement. What we see in the skies above are illuminated objects making circles around us just as it appears. Whatever this place may be, it's the center of all we survey. Some say that the Earth is the floor of the universe. In the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe, we are surrounded by the waters above and the waters below, known as the Great Deep. The deepest hole ever drilled into the Earth was a total of about 7.5 miles. The very core of the Earth is nothing more than wild speculation, if not another malicious lie. So what's under the Earth? That remains a mystery to us all. But another thing that you can research is what's inside the Earth. Multi-billion-dollar deep underground military bases known as DUMBs, D-U-M-Bs, right?
What about the ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
This is also due to human perspective. They don't go over the horizon, they go into the horizon, moving beyond the limit of our vision and past the vanishing point. But the ships and boats are easily brought back into view with a pair of binoculars, a telescope, and any camera with a good zoom lens.
I never noticed that. I never noticed. Was that interesting? Learned something new today.
A great question to ask yourself is why can't we see noticeable curvature from 120,000 feet up? But many people claim that the supposed curvature can be seen from the ground by watching boats. It doesn't make sense.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. What about
all the pictures of the Earth?
Yeah, so this has been interesting so far. You could see his face. He's just like he's thinking about it, and sometimes he's like, I'm not buying that, but that's really an interesting statement. Oh, that's an interesting theory. I like that. He's critically watching this video, and so far this is the first time I'm watching any of this, so I'm just gonna let it play. But I'm watching the chat. Bob, thanks for abandoning all these trolls. The chat's just blowing up with the most ridiculous stuff. And this is how you know you're doing something right, is when you got all these haters. And I'm gonna show you guys, some trolls later on, and we're gonna highlight them here. But that's what I'm gonna do. This is awesome, right? So here we go. I'm gonna keep it going.
They are all clearly computer-generated images. They claim this picture from Apollo 17 in 1972.
Pictures of Earth, look at this.
And they also claim that the 2015 epic Earth picture is real. But NASA employee Robert Simon gave us a glimpse of how they do it when he shared his experience of creating the Blue Marble 2.0 in 2002. He is now called Mr. Blue Marble. He was interviewed and on record stating, the last time anyone took a photograph from above low Earth orbit that showed an entire hemisphere, one side of the globe, was in 1972 during Apollo 17. NASA's Earth Observing System, EOS, satellites were designed to give a checkup of Earth's health. By 2002, we finally had enough data to make a snapshot of the entire Earth, so we did.
In 2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it?
That's what this is. A composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because...
Okay.
All right, so here he's going to give his feedback. So let's see what he has to say. I really have no idea what his feedback is. It's the first time I'm hearing it, and I could just see his mind was blown. But if I'm going to make a prediction, you know, I feel like as many of us probably would feel in this situation, even if we're paid, you know, we're going to stand our ground. And you know, 10 minutes of flat Earth is probably not going to convince anybody of anything. But you know, let's see what he says. We're going to listen to his actual feedback right now. He had his mind completely flat smacked for like 10 minutes. He still doesn't know what to say. Look, what's he doing? What's he doing? I think he's just watching because I know I cut the video off at 10 minutes, so he's still watching it. That's what's happening right now. He's still watching some of it.
Is this the guy that made it talking, or
yeah, he's
someone else?
He's still watching the part because they're talking about the Earth and how they made the Earth in the Photoshop clouds and stuff. So
Okay.
that's what he's doing right now. I bet you any money.
Who's the person talking about this? Is it the guy that photoshopped it, or like the guy who made it in NASA? Why are all the other planets around?
So he watched more than 10 minutes of it. That's what this is showing us right now. But let's
And how do
fast
you
forward
know
it to where we get his feedback.
I don't really necessarily agree with all of this stuff, but really interesting facts. I kind of wonder who is the liar here, like NASA or the people who made this video, because they did a lot of research and it's pretty good. Like, it made me really think about this stuff. And now I kinda do believe in the flat earth myself, because like, just really good speculations and theories that they got are really interesting, and I just don't know what to say about that. I don't know who to believe. Do I believe NASA or these people? Because, well, like, why? First of all, why would NASA lie to us that the Earth is round? Like, that doesn't make sense. Or maybe why do they like lie that the Earth is not flat? Or maybe it is flat and they don't want them to know, or it isn't flat, but they just say that it isn't flat. They always say that it's round, so I don't know who to believe, because NASA, well, it's a big company and they're really smart, so I really want to believe in the smart people other than like the speculations, because they're smart. You gotta listen to smart people. So yeah, that's my thoughts about this video. Thank you so much, and goodbye.
I think that was $5 well spent. What do you say, guys? More video reactions? Yeah, we're gonna do more video reactions because I think these are entertaining, especially when you can see that they're totally like their minds just being blown the whole time. It's epic. I love that. I agree, says Bob from Glowbusters. I know, right? Laugh my ass off, says Google user. Mark Fasheen, love the name, says, yeah, Very well spent, says King TL. Adam Geringer says, my life is a lie. Guess the only thing to do is laugh and move on. For sure, and it's awesome. It's also encouraging entrepreneurship too. That exactly right. If you go look at his page, you know, I left a really great review, which is going to skyrocket this young man's entrepreneurial, you know, career and attitude. I know what it did for me. I know what Fiverr did for me. Fiverr's the only reason I'm here right now. Fiverr's the only reason any of this is in your face right now, because I was not into, you know, video work when I first started. I didn't know anything about how to do it. Nothing. And when I got my first $5, it just, a light went off, bing, and that was it. So he's going to have a great review. People are going to realize that he's at least competent enough to do whatever, you know, his gig says he can do, and that's good. Oh my God! And this, right? I sent I sent the instructions out on Fiverr. Okay, so you can go to Fiverr and you can put out that you have a buyer's request. You're trying to buy something on Fiverr, so you put what you want to buy. And people, from past experience, people are so dumb on there, or they're not reading, or whatever the hell the case is. They're not reading it. So in my buyer's request, I not only had some text, but I was like, I put a video too. I'm standing in the Hoary Sheet studio telling them, all I need you to do is watch this video for 10 minutes and then talk about it for 2 minutes. That's it. And if you want to do this project, you have to type, I'm ready to do the Flat Curious project. If you don't type that, I'm not even going to answer your request. I'm not even going to take you seriously. So like, I'm urging people in that video, you have to type these keywords. He was the only one out of 30 or 40 different people that typed that. He was the only one that typed those words, and it blew my mind. Like, so I didn't even like look at any of his other stuff. I just clicked the order now button and gave him the rest of the instructions, and this was the masterpiece that we got. And I think it was incredible. It was that easy. And thanks again to Harmon Walker. You know, I'm still using some of the funds that you sent me in that $100 donation to do all these. This is you know, 15 bucks worth of it right here, and what very well spent. And also Amanda McLeod too. She put in another donation, and I don't have the link in this video description, but I'll put it in here. So thanks again for that donation. You have a book coming out too. I'm gonna put your book, you know, down in the link. So that's, you know, that's kind of the meat and bones of this, and I'm thrilled. That's amazing. I know that the chat had some interesting stuff going on. I hope we cleared that up. Looks like we did. Thanks again for my wrench squad in the chat room. What else do I have in the notes? Let's talk about it. The jets and the jet fuel thing is still a big hot topic going on. I'm looking at some pretty serious videos, you know, being made about it, and I don't know what to think about this. Supposedly the fuel, these planes, these jets, you know, have to carry so much fuel, and supposedly it's stored in their wings, and apparently there's all kinds of switches and gauges, and, you know, the fuel's being warmed and reheated and all this stuff if it needs to be, and like all this stuff. So the planes have a system of carrying, you know, X amount of this fuel, but what it draws down to is like the weight, the amount of fuel that's said to be in these jets or whatever is just not really how much can go in. And so there's a lot of videos coming out. Wolfie did a video. If anybody knows Wolfie 6020, just put out a video saying that it's all bunk, and he's, you know, he's going to prove it. And so he's going to have a series of videos coming out. And I say his channel because I went to his channel before when, you know, the Tesla's fake car launch space thing happened, the Starman car launch crap that Elon Musk pulled, and we were attacking that for numerous reasons, right? One of the reasons was why aren't the tires blown up? I mean, this is the vacuum of space we're talking about. These materials in the car are not space ready material. I mean, the guy Elon even said in his press conference, you know, oh yeah, I don't know about the car's hardiness for space. He didn't have an answer for that. It's so fake, people. But anyway, Wolfie said, oh no, there's totally, you know, these tires can withstand outer space. And he was adamant about that. He's got all his reasons. And on that video I posted in there, I was like, oh yeah, please, you know, please keep making more of this, you know, because it's so bizarre to think that you can send, of all things, a tire into space and not have it blow up. mean, we know what happens if you just have like little to no air in a balloon and then increase the vacuum in a vacuum chamber, the whole balloon expands and blows up. I mean, that's just what happens. So you can't tell me that if you have, 30 or even 20 or 10, if you just have any kind of tire in space, and you expose it to the vacuum of space, it's not going to just blow up. Those valves the valves built into the tire cannot be made to, hold the air like that in. It's just ridiculous. So anyway, I was caught. Here you go. It dovetails right into what I'm going to say about this troll that I'm highlighting. It's hilarious, guys. I said to Wolfie on his channel, oh, please, Wolfie, keep making these videos, because he's just digging himself a hole, right? And I got caught, and somebody thought that I guess they believed that. They believed that I was a Wolfie fan, and they now have ousted me as a Flat Earth shill, right? So check this out. My favorite troll. I don't even know who he is, and if I did, like, maybe you'll see it from the thingy here, but this is hilarious.
So what you get a lot of is
this guy.
a lot of people doing their own research, trying to understand things for themselves, their own reality, the education system.
I mean, he seems to be a flat earther and all that jazz, but look what he says. Hold on. On the right spot. All right, there's my comment right there, so it's right before this. All right, so I think he's making fun of Wolfie's videos,
Then the comment section's even more hilarious. You've got a mixture of disciples, pretend flat earthers,
pretend flat
Horry Sheet Show. Oh, this is good, Wolfie. Please, the Horry Sheets Show. He's one of those potatoes. This is good, Wolfie. Keep it up, please, Wolfie. Oh, my hero, Wolfie, please. I'm the Horry Sheet Show. I'm a pretend flat earther. Please keep it up. No worries, Horry Sheet Show. Just getting warmed up. I'm a real beast.
Look at this. Look at this. It's right here. I'm gonna catch it.
He's the man. Can you just imagine what I'm gonna do with this video coming up? He's my new meme. I'm gonna be making fun of this guy for a minute. Oh, the Horry Sheet Show. So I think he saw that comment and he believed that I was a fake flat earther, a pretend flat earther, for that comment. So this kind of like shows you how dumb people are. I mean, what is it? What's the word for this? It's he's not getting it. He's not getting my sarcasm, but he went as far as to like make a video saying I'm a pretend flat earther. Look at my show. If I'm pretending real good. Real good. I don't even know. Well, maybe I'm pretending really bad. Who knows? But anyway, this guy, he's my favorite so far. We need to make a name for this guy. You know how we gave, when I used to watch Alex Jones and we'd see these memes show up, all these people going to these political rallies and getting way too out of hand, he would give them a name, and we need to make up a name for this guy. So in the chat, let's start coming up with some names while we continue on. I heard that there was a Flat Earth display at Kyrie Irving's sneaker display that he was doing in Boston. I don't have a picture for you right now, but that sounds pretty interesting. I heard that from Mark and Patricia on the Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes broadcast a little while ago. And like I said earlier, Authentic Intent, he was back in the chat. He's also back in action. He did a video at his state capitol. And there was a field trip of 40 students came in for a flat smacking and pictures. So that was good. Check it out on his channel. There was a link in the chat at some point. If you want to throw it in the chat again, pop it in there, will you, Joshua? Authentic Intent. So check that out. And games. There's 2 games coming out. All right. One of the games is called Eco, and in this game you work. And I'm not going to play any of the trailers and stuff here. I don't have any of that, and I don't want to get copyright struck or whatever. But I'm just going to talk about them. Let me switch the set back to this. So basically, this game Eco, you're trying to work together with your friends and whoever else joins this server and joins into this game with you, and you build a house and you go and you chop trees. And there's this whole ecosystem. There's animals and only a set amount, it's finite resources on this place that you can be on. but you have a set amount of time to build your society up until an asteroid comes to destroy your stuff. So like it's a set time game, and your whole goal is around this destruction of the asteroid. So you're building like these guns, these land-based, I don't know, lasers or whatever it must be as your end goal. But everybody has to work together to build this, ultimately, this defense system. And it looks like a really fun game, but the outline, you know, the underlining message here is that, you know, at any moment you could be destroyed. And it seems to just be one of these games that are getting you ready for the normality of weaponizing space. I mean, how much of this have we heard recently of the government's trying to weaponize space? We're trying to control the airspace, and this is just, it's happening in our games. It's happening on a lot of our games. Almost every game that I play. Look at Overwatch right now. Overwatch is one of the, you know, most popular first-person shooters, where you just get in there and you got a team of, I think, 6 versus 6 or something, and there's different players that you can be, and each one has their own ability. Some can dart around the map, or some can pull up a big shield, or some can shoot a shield over there, or, you know, all these different things. But the thing here is, you know, you'll be playing in a you know what? I got to take a second look at one of the maps, but I know there's a Hollywood map, and there's a green screen in one of the rooms, and I'm pretty sure there's a studio set in there too, but I gotta, if I find that, I'll take some pictures of it and show you in the next broadcast. But I know in one of the maps, an entire map is called the lunar module base or something, the lunar lander base, and you're on the moon. You're in a moon base, and you're having this skirmish or capture the flag style, like, you know, combat. It's more like capture points, but still, I mean, why a moon base? Like, you know, it keeps getting put in our face, all this stuff about space. Dinosaurs, don't get me started. Dinosaurs was a huge phase like 3 years ago, when Ark came out. Ark was huge, and it spawned several other dinosaur games. So all these space dinosaur games, it's kind of sick. There's another game coming out called Homefront: The Revolution, and this is about fighting the abusive police or military that has overtaken your city, or ultimately, you know, the whole United States or whatever, set in some point in the future. I mean, the pre-program in here, and this game looks like really good. I mean, it's going to be marketed, it's going to be like one of the next big games, and it's going to be one of the next Call of Duty games. But this is the message. This is the underlining, you know, the goal is you're all, I think it's a co-op style game. So you have your friends that can join you, and you're against the computer, basically, and the computer is the military force. Okay. I'm watching my like little spinny background here, and did you know what this is, guys? This is the pinwheel thing. If you look at the center of this thing, and then you look at the wall, some funny stuff happens to your vision. It catches me off guard as I'm just watching myself in the OBS stream. But if you didn't know that, look somewhere else right now, and your vision's gonna look funny if you've been staring at the screen for a while. But that's all I had to say. There's just so much propaganda, so much space propaganda. I'm seeing it. I'm starting to put together a video that's going to highlight this. And let me tell you one last thing. I was in Overwatch last night playing. I'm starting to play in the competitive matches, and there's a lot of people that are really vocal in the competitive matches. Holy crap! I know you're supposed to take it more seriously, which I do, but people are they just say whatever they want. And anyway, I befriended this one guy just for a quick match. I was like, hey, let's play another match together. You know, you seem pretty cool. And I talked about Flat Earth. We happened to be loading a new map, and it was that lunar module space map. And I was like, oh man, all this. We were just talking about how cool the game looked and all the graphics. And then he's like, yeah, I really like how the game looks. And then I said, oh man, but the space propaganda has to go. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you know, the Earth's flat, right? So I just laid it out there. Boom. You know? And this guy's like, oh, I don't even know if I want to talk to you anymore, right? So I was like, no. Why do you think the Earth's round? So he came up. He must have had like 3 or 4 different things, and he thought it was like really strong points that I shot down really quickly. And by the end of this, the guy was like he said something about, well, what do you think about, you know, ships? Why do ships disappear? And I was like, it's simply our optics. It's how eyes work. It's things that get further away. You won't be able to see them. And and he just wasn't buying this, you know, and that was it for him. He just like muted the mic so he couldn't hear me anymore, and we ended up winning the game. And it just goes to show you, like, these people will, at the cognitive dissonance, you can reach some people and it'll just make them want to disconnect you, like, right off the bat. It is funny. I don't really care. There's like thousands of people I connect with on there, so I really don't care. I'll flat smack a group of 6 people in there like nobody's business while we're waiting for the map to load. I don't care. So it was really funny though, just to have people, like, I had good things to say about everything he said, but he didn't want to hear it at all. Like, he moved on quickly to another point. He didn't have any rebuttal, you know. But at the same time, it's sad because it goes to show you we have a whole lot of work, you know, a lot of work ahead of us. You gotta really talk to people. Start with your friends. Start with your family. There's been some members of my family coming back around in my life lately, and they're looking at my stuff and in some cases sharing some of my stuff, liking some of my posts, and this might be their first, dose of flat Earth. Like, they're looking at my page and they're getting their first dose. So do it. We have to. We have to talk about get it out of the echo chambers. This is just a must. But that's all I had, guys. I really appreciate you all coming and showing. I'll talk to y'all in the chat room for a minute. Thanks for sticking around, Bob, and cleaning up the chat, and everybody else too who helped with that. If I could rhyme, I'd make one more line. My phone screen protector is wonky. I'm so sorry about that. Says Celaman. So yep, what's the game about? Asteroids? That's Eco, Authentic Intent, ECO. It's a pretty cool little game. I mean, it looks like a nice little co-op game. The graphics are nice. I'm just scrolling back up through the chat a ways, so give me a minute, guys. I broke him, says King TL. I was talking about that young man that we flat smacked in the video earlier. He may be walking around school with his hands in his pockets. He's probably been doing that for about the past week. Let's hope it's going a little bit better now. Seed planted, says Daniel Riza. Yeah. Flat Earth Blitzkrieg, says McVice. Why would NASA lie? Every Globy, every time, says R. Cook. Yep. Flatlander on Fiverr. What? Flying inside of a plane, white paper over the plane. What am I missing there? I'm not sure what I'm missing in that part of the chat. Yeah, Glowbuster said that I think they're definitely using fuel, just not as much as they say they're using. And yeah, that's where I'm at with it too. I think they're using fuel, but the prices, the whole, some kind of way it got jacked up, the capacity that they're able to hold. I hope we've busted them in something. I really do. I hope this is a thing, because I really, we need to latch onto this if it is. We always knew you were a shield, D, says Glowbusters. I know, right? That guy, oh man, he's got me. I'm a Wolfie 6020 fan, and I can't wait for his next video. He got me. I'm Anti-Media Network. Hori's only pretending to be a pretend flat earther, pretending to be offended over being called out over his flat eartherism. His real flat eartherism. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Hey, Joey Silv, how's it going? Oh, yeah, there was this one guy on Facebook. Let me see. Facebook says I have 6 notifications. This dude has been spamming so hard, the Sam Hancock guy, about every thread that he can possibly spam his link in. He's tried, and YouTube has zapped him. In this one thread, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts of his video. I don't even know what he thinks he's doing. I mean, I didn't even have to take care of this guy. Facebook's algorithm took care of him. So people they'll watch a video from so and so, and they will believe it, and they won't do their own research. And that's what this guy did. Or he saw my comment and he didn't bother to look at anything I'm doing. And that's sad, because I'm doing a really good thing, at least I think. And this isn't all that I do. I put out the news. I get on younow.com and flat smack people. Today I put out 2 cards at my local beer store. David Weiss had mailed me a stack of, I think I have one in my pocket right now. I'll show you so I don't get this wrong. But it was his Flat Earth podcast card, and on the back it says, the Earth is not spinning. So that's one side, and the other side says the Flat Earth podcast, which, by the way, David Weiss and Curious Jay do an absolutely fantastic job. Head on over there on the YouTube or the Apple iTunes store and check out the Flat Earth podcast. He has guest callers through the speak pipe or whatever. Well, I guess it's not guest callers, but it's through a speak pipe. He reads a lot of interesting stuff, and he talks about interesting things. Like this lady was, I forget what country. I wish I remembered, but anyway, she was still taught in school that the Earth was flat, and she was surprised to hear when Curious. It might have been somewhere in Africa. Yeah, it was Croatia or something, maybe. I don't know, but anyway, she was taught in school. She's still alive, but she was taught at a younger age the Earth was flat. So when Curious Jay was like, well, that it's being taught that's a ball now, she laughed. He was trying to flat smack this woman. I forget where he was, but he didn't get very far. She was already a flatty. And I thought that was funny. So you get to hear these little nuggets of information, and I just like it. So check it out. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for coming. And see you next time on the Hoary Sheet Show for Flat Curious Readout number 7. I'm going to put in a couple more things here on Fiverr in the next few nights, and I may just live stream that process like I did before, if anybody wants to see it on the, as like an over-the-shoulder kind of thing. But if I do that, it will probably end up on my Facebook page, so add me as Harry Sheet over there on Facebook, and you'll get to see some of the lesser important streams. And that's just a way of me kind of getting my audience over here or whatever. So that's how you got to do it. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for showing up. Much love. And you know what? I'm here to wake people up. Who's with me? Take care.